It's not as good as the first one. I'm loving this so far. I'm finding this really hard to follow. I feel like I might regret this, but today we're starting a 24-hour readathon. And the reason I say I might regret this is because today is pretty much the hottest day of the year. We're into the 30 degrees and it is hot. I have one fan in this whole house, like a tower fan, and it's not the best fan. If you are not from the UK, our houses are literally built to insulate heat, like keep the heat inside the house. So when it gets hot, it is hot and it gets pretty uncomfortable. So this is not going to be a glamorous 24-hour readathon. Not that my vlogs are ever glamorous, but I'm probably going to be melting away throughout this video. But I just really wanted to do it. It's just so hot that I don't have the energy to do anything else. The last thing I want to do is go outside and be in the heat. I would love to escape to some air conditioning, but then I feel bad leaving the dogs because they're uncomfortable as well. So we are just going to stay in and we're going to read. Ollie's not here as well. I think he's back tomorrow afternoon. So I'm just going to have a nice weekend of uninterrupted reading, and as I said, we're going to be reading for 24 hours. I'm going to be doing the timer method, but usually I pause it literally anytime I'm not reading. So whenever I'm speaking to the camera, when I'm making a drink, anything that's not reading, I pause the timer. And I don't think I'm going to quite do that this time because sometimes it just means it drags on so long that I don't have time to do it in the 2 days on the weekend, and I have to continue to the week. And I really want to do this just over the weekend. So I am going to start a timer, but it's more of a timer for my reading period than like I literally have to be physically reading every single second of the timer. I am pretty much going to be reading for the whole time, but I don't know why I'm explaining myself. I'm sure you know what I mean. It's currently 10:10 and I'm going to aim to start this at 10:30. I've walked my dogs, I've had my breakfast, I'm ready to go. The only thing we need to do is pick out what books I'm going to read. So I did actually start a list on my phone of possible books to read, and I am kind of doing this with a few things in mind. One, wanting to have a mix of genres. Okay, I need some easy romance books in there, and I'm also thinking maybe a thriller is good. I feel like thrillers normally are quite good in 24-hour readathons because they're just fast-paced, and when you're tired and struggling, I don't know, like they give you some energy. So those need to be on the TBR, but then also obviously we do have some romantasy on the TBR, and I'm trying to keep in mind my July TBR because I really want to complete my July TBR this month, so I need to make a little bit of progress on that. We are currently on the 12th of July when I'm filming this, and I have not yet read a single book from my monthly TBR, which I know I still have 2.5 weeks of the month, so I still have time, but I feel like I need to at least get started on the TBR. By the way, this is very much provisional. I will just go with how I'm feeling at the time, because the last thing that you want to be doing in these videos is forcing yourself to read books that you are not in the mood for. Firstly, we have The Paradise Problem by Christina. I feel like this is the perfect book for a 24-hour readathon, and also this is on my TBR for this month. And also I'm assuming it's a summer book, and as I said, it is absolutely sweltering outside at the moment. I'm going to enjoy the summer vibes of this from the comfort, or not that comfortable actual, but like from the inside of my own house. I would love to take this on holiday with me and read this by the pool or the beach, but I have no more holidays planned for this year, so that's not going to happen. We're going to have to read it at home. The other romance that I'm thinking of, and this is not on my TBR for this month, but is Not in Love by Ali Hazelwood, and that's because I want to read this before I read her new book. What's her new book called? Oh yeah, Problematic Summer Romance, which I am desperate to read, but that follows, I believe, a character that we meet in this book, and I wasn't going to read this one because I heard not so great things about it, but then one of my lovely subscribers told me in the comments that actually, judging by my reading taste, she thought that actually I would like Not in Love, even though it's got a bad rep. She said she's pretty sure I actually would like this, and I have seen a few people enjoy it. So I just thought, you know what, let's go for it. I actually do have Deep End by Ali Hazelwood on my TBR for this month. For some reason, this is the one that I'm feeling like reading this weekend instead, and I feel like this is shorter than Deep End, and also this one came out before Deep End. This is not at all connected to Deep End, but I just feel like I'm going to read this one. So that is the other romance. Oh my gosh, how did that happen? My phone's listening to me and is typing out everything that I'm saying. How long has that been happening, and how do I stop it? Okay, it's obviously like a Siri AI thing, but that was crazy. Moving on from romance, a few fantasy options. So on my TBR for this month, I have Diabound. So that is a possibility. It is on Kindle Unlimited. I have it downloaded on my Kindle. So that could be what I read, but it's obviously the first book in a series and none of the other books are out yet, so I was iffy about putting it on my TBR in the first place, and I'm still iffy about reading it. But as I said, I want to finish my July TBR this month, so I'm probably going to read it at some point this month, so it could be this weekend, we will see. Another fantasy that's on my TBR for the month is A Shadow in the Ember by Jennifer L. Armentrout. This is the first book in the Flesh and Fire series, and I've wanted to read this for so long. It's on my TBR for this month. However, I am just a bit concerned that a 24-hour readathon is not the right time to read this book. It's actually a similar amount of pages to Diabound. I think they are both just over 600 pages. And I haven't actually seen Diabound in person, as I said, I just have it on Kindle. But I don't know, this just looks like a lot of words, and I feel like this will take me ages, and I just don't know if it's the right thing to read in a 24-hour readathon. So then I have another fantasy option, which is the Gilded Cage, which is the second book to The Prison Healer, which I read the other day and absolutely loved, so I would quite like to continue a series. I have lots of other fantasies that I could read that would be continuing series as well. And then lastly, for the thriller, I think it is safe to stick to the one that's on my TBR for this month, which is The Only One Left by Ray Sager. This does not scream hot summer's day book. I love a thriller in the summer, but this one is kind of giving scary thriller, not like twisty mystery thriller, scary thriller from the cover and from what I know about this book. I mean, it literally says haunting and chilling on the front. So not necessarily the kind of summer thriller that I normally gravitate towards, but it's on my TBR for the month, so I want to read it. So those are the books on my radar. Which ones will we read? I don't know. Will we read books that aren't on that list? Maybe. We are just going to see where the weekend takes us. I'm loving this so far, it's funny, it's good vibes. Okay, I am just under 100 pages in, so I thought it would be a good time to check in about this book. So for the plot of this book, we have Anna and Liam, and right at the start of this book is like 3 years in the past, and we basically see that they were married. It was a marriage of convenience. After 2 years that ended and they went their separate ways, or Anna thought they did anyway. Anna thought that they were then divorced. However, 2 years later, Liam shows up and basically explains that they are actually still married, and he needs her to come with him to a family wedding to keep up the pretense that they are still married. And there are other things that he has told his family about her that are not necessarily true, that she also has to pretend, because basically the two of them do not really know each other at all. It is a little bit weird, the whole marriage thing. I do find it a little bit hard to believe that two people met for the first time at the courthouse getting married. That is a little bit weird for me. I get that it's a marriage of convenience, but I still think, would you not want to check out who you're marrying? Like, make sure that they're not at least a psychopath. She was friends with his brother, so she knew of him, but still, I just think a little bit weird. She didn't even know his first name. So that element of it does feel a little bit far-fetched, but I'm enjoying it. I really like Anna, she's funny. I like Liam as well. I think they have good chemistry and the dialogue between them I'm enjoying. I also really like the setting. It's a week-long wedding event at this private island. It's like paradise. I'm enjoying like the millionaire vibes as well. So Liam's given Anna loads of money to buy loads of nice clothes and look the part. I just think that's a fun part to it as well. So yeah, I am enjoying it. It's a nice, easy read. It's been a long time since I've read a Christina Lauren book, but this is very in line with the other books I have read. 22 hours and 3 minutes left on the timers, so I've done just under 2 hours. So I'm going to read for a little bit more. I might see if this is on Spotify so that when I'm like making and eating lunch, I can maybe just listen to the audiobook. Okay, perfect. It is on Spotify, so I will probably listen to a little bit of the audiobook. Okay, that's the update for now. Back to reading. I was low-key falling asleep, so made myself a matcha in the hopes it's gonna keep me awake because we've not even finished one book yet and we are on 20.5 hours left. So I've done 3.5 hours. So we have a long way to go. I am now, however, on the home stretch of this one. I'm on page 205. I am enjoying it, but it's definitely not amazing. I don't know why, like something is just slightly missing for me. I really like the characters, I really like the romance, I really like the setting, but I'm not necessarily fully connecting to it. So yeah, we're gonna finish it now, and my head is already going to, what am I gonna read next? And I don't know, I'm overwhelmed. It's also like 2:30 now, so we are getting to the hottest part of the day, and I'm feeling it. I am bloody boiling. We just have to hope that she's gonna give me some energy. Okay, book one finished with 18 hours and 46 minutes left on the clock. This took me way longer than I expected to read. Normally a romance book like this I can fly through, but I don't know why, it just seemed to take me a while. I did enjoy it. I think it's sitting at a 3.5 stars because I have some gripes with it. Firstly, what I said earlier still stands. I think that the whole getting married thing is just a bit weird. Secondly, the thing that doesn't quite sit right with me about this is the fact that they lived together for 2 years, and obviously it was a marriage of convenience, okay? But when they re-see each other 3 years after that, they're kind of instantly attracted to each other, really. And so it seems just a bit weird to me that they wouldn't have felt that way at the time and that like nothing would have ever happened, or that they hadn't even really spoken or become friends. I don't know, it just is a little bit unbelievable. I think this would make a really good rom-com film. Like I could literally imagine this as a film. So I don't know if it's been picked up. I don't think it has. I'm absolutely boiling now. Like it is hot. I've had to close the blinds because I just cannot be dealing with the sun. Part of me really wants to read A Shadow in the Ember. Is that what it's called? The Flesh and Fire book. But I also don't, because that's just going to take me so long to read, and that's not really what I want to do in this kind of video. So I think what I'm actually going to do is read the next Prison Healer book. Because it's only been a few days since I finished the Prison Healer and it's still fresh in my mind. I need to pick it up now, otherwise I won't pick it up for months, because that's just the way with me and series. If I don't immediately read them back to back, then it could be a whole year. We have just over 17 hours left on the clock, and I'm about 75 pages through the Gilded Cage. What can I say about this series without giving any spoilers for the first book? Okay, summary for the series. We are following Kiva, and she has basically been a prisoner for 10 years. At the prison, she works as a healer. She's a very gifted healer. In this kingdom, there are a group of rebels who are following the rebel queen, as they call her, who believe that she has a right to the throne, and these rebels are causing a lot of issues in the kingdom, and we are basically following Kiva and her journey in the prison and also the rebel movement. It's really hard to give a description because there are lots of twists and turns in the first book, so I don't really want to say anything else, but this book so far is picking up where the last book left off, and things are expanding quite a lot. And I also think I have a new favourite character in this book. I am a big fan of Cowden. I don't know if that's going to change, but I am really enjoying him in this book. I will say that although in this book we are expanding a lot from the original plot in the first book, it's still a very straightforward and easy world to understand so far anyway. I'm not sure if this series is YA, actually. Maybe it is because it reads quite YA in terms of how easy it is to follow. I don't know. Oh yeah, Lynette Noni is currently Australia's #1 YA fiction author. So I assume that this series is YA, and that makes sense. I'm enjoying it. I don't mind a YA series, like that is not a bad thing to me that I'm saying that it reads quite YA. I enjoy a YA series, especially YA fantasy. They're fun, and sometimes I don't want to engage my brain too much. So, yeah. Oh, it is actually now 9:05 at night. Doesn't look like it, looks like the middle of the day. Yeah, it's actually ridiculous how long it stays light, but at least the sun has gone in, so hopefully it's going to cool down now. I'm not going to lie, the last few hours haven't been great. I actually ended up pausing the timer for a little bit because I was on the phone to my sister, and then I was making my dinner, and I just watched a bit of TV while I ate my dinner, and then I did put the timer back on and was reading, but Love Island Unseen Bits was on in the background, so I wasn't fully concentrating. So it has been a little bit slow, and I'm now concerned because I needed to get today's timer way under 12 hours in order to be able to finish this weekend, because I just know that I'm not going to be able to read that long tomorrow on a Sunday. Yeah, we are at 14 hours and 41 minutes. Look, if this goes on past the weekend, it goes on past the weekend. It is what it is. I'm trying to just not pause the timer, even when I'm taking breaks. Like right now, I'm not pausing the timer, whereas when I do this challenge normally I would. But I'm just trying to do it a bit differently, and you know, it's not a competition. I'm not trying to read as much as possible in 24 hours. I'm just trying to dedicate a lot of time to reading. Okay, I'm nearly halfway through this book now. If you can see, I am up to page 194, and I think it is, oh, it's about 450 pages, so I'm not quite halfway, but I'm a decent chunk in. I have to say, this one I'm not enjoying as much as The Prison Healer so far. It's quite slow. It's got second book syndrome, as people would say. I personally actually don't know that I agree that that's a thing. I feel like I often love the second book in series, and actually the third book is often my least favourite in a trilogy. But anyway, this one I can agree is suffering from second book syndrome. It's just a bit slow, to be honest. I'm still enjoying it. I like the characters, I like the world, but I just need a little bit more to happen. But I feel like that's the complaint I've heard about this series in general, is that not much happens throughout the book and then the ends are crazy. But I was pleasantly surprised with The Prison Healer, because I didn't feel like that was the case with The Prison Healer. Yes, a lot of the big stuff happened during the end, but there was enough throughout the whole book to keep you interested and keep you invested. But as I said, this one, not so much. Like, we are nearly halfway through the book and not much has happened. I still like it, like I don't dislike it, it's just, it's not as good as the first one. So I've just finished this with 10 and a half hours left on the clock. Yeah, I don't think my feelings have really changed on this. I did like it, I do like this series. I do enjoy the twists and turns, although I will say that a lot of them are quite predictable because there's lots of hints and breadcrumbs like what the twists are going to be, and usually you're right. Like, I feel like it should be a little bit more hidden, but I still enjoy them. They're still good for the plot, so that's fine. But this one, was definitely slower than the first one. There's definitely a big chunk, or maybe it was just like the first half, that was just really slow and it felt like nothing was really happening. So that was a little bit annoying. I definitely didn't enjoy it as much as the first one, and now how this one's ended, I'm not sure how I'm going to feel about the third one. I don't know, it's just like where we are is not really where I want to be. But I don't know, maybe it will be good and interesting. I think for a rating, I'm going to settle on 3.25 stars, I think. Yeah, 3.25 stars. Then I guess it's time to start another book. Okay, so I think that probably the other two books I'm going to read are going to be these two, Not in Love and The Only One Left. Don't know which one I'm in the mood for now. Am I in the mood for a thriller or am I in the mood for a romance? This one is on my TBR for the month, so I do want to read this one, but also I need to read this so that I can read other Ali Hazelwood books, and also Ali Hazelwood books are always a fun, cute, easy time. So I feel like maybe I'm going to read Not in Love. I don't know what this is about. Oh, it's still set in the STEM world. I didn't know that. It says at the start, I just wanted to drop a quick note to let you know that Not in Love is tonally a little different from the works I've published in the past. And she goes into why and says, the result is, I think, less of a rom-com and more of an erotic romance. I did hear people say that this book is just a lot of smut and not much else. But then I have heard a few people disagree with that. I'm intrigued to see what I'm going to think of this, because this is one that people have, oh there's a fly, very mixed opinions on. But as I've said before, Ali Hazelwood has never done me wrong, so how wrong could it possibly go? My phone's over there. It is 2:20 and we have 7 hours and 10 minutes still left on the timer, and I am now 200 pages into Not in Love. So in this one we are following Rue and Eli. They meet on a dating slash sex app really, and they meet up. However, they don't actually end up sleeping together and it doesn't really go to plan. Anyway, the next day he turns up at her work and turns out that he is a partner for the organisation that wants to buy the company that she works for. And not only does she work for this company, but also one of her best friends is the owner of the company. They have a lot of sexual tension, but Rue is not happy with him because he and his friends are trying to buy this company, as discussed. So she really just wants to shut it down, but as I said, they have a lot of chemistry. Honestly, so far I'm not really seeing why people do not like this one. I feel like this feels, to me, quite similar to other Ali Hazelwood books. It's obviously not so much in the academic setting that a lot of her books are set in terms of her STEM books, but it doesn't feel that dissimilar. Eli is a very typical Ali Hazelwood male main character, and the plot of this book is a very typical Ali Hazelwood plot in terms of, oh, I don't really want to say anything, but it's, everything is clearly not as it seems and not as Rue thinks it is, if that makes sense. So yeah, I don't know, I'm enjoying it so far. And in terms of the amount of spice, we didn't really have any for the first 100 pages. Don't get me wrong, that is fairly early to have a scene, but I've seen earlier, you know? It didn't really necessarily faze me, and it kind of makes sense with the plot and our characters, so yeah, I don't know. I have about 100 and... oh, this one's quite long actually. I have about 180 pages left of this, so I am just over halfway. I also listened to some of the audiobook while I had lunch, and it's a duet style audiobook, which is good. I like a duet narration, so I think that this one is quite a good one to listen to on audio. We finished Not in Love. Honestly, I don't think my feelings have really changed on this since I last spoke to you. I enjoyed it. I don't know why it got so much hate. It's not my favourite Ali Hazelwood book, but it's also not bad. I'm gonna give it 3.5 stars because, as I said, it's not my favourite. I do feel like, I was about to try and describe what I felt like was missing from this for it to be my favourite, but I don't necessarily think that anything was missing. I just think the romance wasn't like my top favourite, but I still really enjoyed it, and it was a fun, good read. So 3.5 stars for Not in Love, and I cannot wait to read Problematic Summer Romance because I am very interested in that romance after seeing not even hardly anything of them here, but like just a little snippet and just understanding a little bit of the backstory. I'm very excited for those characters' romance. And then on the timer we have 4 hours and 43 minutes. So realistically, I'm not gonna have time to read a whole nother book. Why are you so low? This whole time I was thinking, realistically, I'm gonna read The Only One Left by Riley Sager, but I'm actually just not in the mood to read a thriller. I think I'm in the mood to read a fantasy. Actually, to be honest, I really ideally would maybe just read the third Prison Healer book and finish that series, but I don't have it. So we're not going to do that. And I do want to read something else off my TBR. So I think I'm going to go for Shadow in the Ember, which feels daunting because, as I said, she's thick, but I don't know, I'm just thinking why not? This is the first book in the Flesh and Fire series, which is a prequel series to Blood and Ash. I read the first 3 books in Blood and Ash a long time ago, so I can't fully remember much about it, other than the general world maybe, but like only really remember like the original world in the first book. I don't really remember what happened in the second and third books. There's kind of vampires and werewolves, I think. Born shrouded in the veil of the primals, a maiden as the fates promised, Seraphina Mirel's future has never been hers. Chosen before birth to uphold the desperate deal her ancestor struck to save his people, Sarah must leave behind her life and offer herself to the primal of death as his consort. Okay, so our female main character in this is the Maiden, which is similar to our female main character in Blood and Ash. She was also the Maiden. However, her real destiny is the most closely guarded secret in all of Lassania. She's not the well-protected Maiden, but an assassin with one mission, one target. Make the primal of death fall in love, become his weakness, and then end him. If she fails, she dooms her kingdom to a slow demise at the hands of the rot. Okay, so she's an assassin pretending to be the Maiden. And is she having an arranged marriage with the primal of death? And the primals, are they the vampires? Or are they the werewolves? I think that they're the vampires. I don't know. I feel like this is going to be a bit of a slow read because it's going to take me a while to get back into this world. But I'm assuming I will be able to because I feel like people read this series without even reading Blood and Ash. So hopefully I'll be able to understand it. I'm not gonna lie, I'm finding this really hard to follow. There's just loads of names of people and places and I'm confused. I don't know what's happening. So hopefully this starts to click because right now this is going to be a struggle to get through such a thick book when I don't understand a thing. Hello, it has actually been a few days, but I decided that I wanted to finish Shadow in the Ember before I wrapped up this video. It just made sense to me to finish this so I can give you my full thoughts rather than just speaking to you at the end of the timer. So when the timer went off, I've actually saved where I was up to. Nope, that's not right. That's not where I was up to. I think I was about 250 pages into this when the timer went off. And as I said, I decided to just take a couple of days to finish this before I come and end this vlog and speak to you. And I'm pleased to say that I have now finished this. I don't think I've spoke to you at all since I started this book, but I believe I did read you the blurb. In this world, we have primals and gods, which there's the primal of life, the primal of death, the primal of luck and fortune, and various other primals, okay? I guess we kind of see primals as gods, but there are lots of gods in this world, and the primals are like the lead gods. But primals and gods are also somewhat vampires. Okay, that is the kind of general world that we are in here, which I'll speak about in a little minute. But we are following Seraphina, and there was a deal made hundreds of years ago that basically sealed her future, that when she was born, she would be married off to the primal of death when she turns 18. So at the start of this book, we see her turn 18 and we see her go to meet the primal of death. And he basically turns up and rejects her and says, I don't want a consort. No, and leaves, and that is the last that she ever sees of him. And then we are following her journey from there, living with her failure to do what she was supposed to do, because the land is also suffering from something called rot, which is basically killing the land. And they'd basically come up with a plan to end the rot that involved Seraphina making the Primal of Death fall in love with her and then her killing him. I'm not sure where this idea comes from. In fact, I do know where this comes from. We find out a bit later in the book where this comes from. But the start of the book is a little bit confusing of why this whole thing is a thing. But you find out more as you get further into the book. I will say the first half of this book was slow for me and I was not really enjoying it, but then, well, not enjoying it, but just not loving it. It was okay. But then the second half definitely picked up a lot and I really enjoyed the second half of this book. In terms of my rating overall, I'm gonna give it 3.5 stars. I still think it was a little bit long and dragged out, and I can't forget the first half of the book, unfortunately. But if I was just judging the second half, it would definitely be a 4-star. I will say I found it all quite confusing. It felt like things weren't really explained that well, and that might be because this is the prequel series to Blood and Ash, and you are supposed to have read the first 3 Blood and Ash books before you read this one, which I have done, but I read them years ago and I cannot remember anything about them really. So I was reading this world and it was somewhat all new to me. I honestly don't even remember primals being a thing in Blood and Ash. I know that there are vampire type creatures, but I just didn't really remember primals and gods being mentioned so much. So I do feel like I found the world hard to understand, but maybe if you read this straight after reading the Blood and Ash books, it would make more sense to you. While I was reading this, my mind was going back and forth about what I wanted to do and whether I would continue this series, whether I wouldn't continue it, whether I would continue it and also continue Blood and Ash, or not continue Blood and Ash and just this series. And I think I've decided that I am going to give Blood and Ash a go. So the correct reading order is you read the first 3 Blood and Ash books, then you read this book, then you read the 4th Blood and Ash book, then you read the 2nd Flesh and Fire book, then you read the 5th Blood and Ash book, etc. So you kind of then, like, after the first 3 books, you kind of go back and forth between the series. So I think I'm going to try and read the 4th Blood and Ash book, but I need to find myself some kind of recap for the first 3 because I have no idea what's happened. And I'm just going to see how I feel, and I'm going to give both series a chance, or like I'm gonna give the chance of reading them both together. I know lots of people much prefer this series. Honestly, from what I remember of Blood and Ash as a first book, I actually preferred that as a first book than this as a first book, which I think is a very unpopular opinion. But then Blood and Ash did go downhill, and especially by the 3rd book I remember not loving it that much. So this is probably better than the 2nd and 3rd book in Blood and Ash, but I really liked the first book. So I don't know, I don't really know how I feel about this whole universe and this whole series. Unfortunately, the books are bricks, and that is what puts me off a little bit and scares me a little bit, but I do think I want to try and continue them. Okay, I think that is everything that I had to say about this. I'm really sorry if I have described things really poorly and it's not making sense, but as I said, I was not really in the best position starting this book. I feel like people say that you can read this series separate to Blood and Ash, which I definitely think that you can. You don't have to read Blood and Ash to read this, but you are going to be at a disadvantage with the world, because I did find that things were not really explained and it was kind of assumed that we knew the world, and I did not have any memory of the world, so I'll just say that. Okay, and now that brings us to the end of this 24-hour reading challenge. I hope that you enjoyed. I feel like people definitely prefer watching the 24 hours straight versions, which I can appreciate. I feel like I really enjoy watching those as well, but honestly it just takes out a lot of you, and there has to be like perfect timing to do that. I have done that a couple of times before, so let me know if you would like to see a version where I do try to read straight for 24 hours, or whether you enjoy these timer method versions where it's like, how much can I actually read in 24 hours? In this one we got through 4 books. We did The Paradise Problem, The Gilded Cage, Not in Love, and, well, we didn't actually get through this in the timer, but it's in this video, A Shadow in the Ember. And I somewhat enjoyed all of them, to be honest. I probably would say I preferred the fantasies over the romances this weekend, and it has left me in a big romantic mood, which is good because I've been strictly in a romance mood for a long time now, so now I'm feeling fantasies, which is good because that is kind of my favourite genre, or has been over the past year or 2, so I'm excited to hopefully dive into some more fantasies. Please don't forget to leave a comment, like and subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you so much for watching. I hope to see you in my next video. Bye!